Hey there my Stampin' friends, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have another Summer Celebration Wonderful World card project for you today. We're going to be working with the purples today, so I hope you enjoy the purple color. I know a lot of you are purple lovers. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. Now this is a super simple sketch. You could remake it with any assortment of designer series paper you wanted to. But I'm letting the paper dictate my color. So as you can see, I've chosen the purple pattern and I'm pairing it with my gorgeous grape purple, but you could use rich raspberry, you could use the Highland heather. So any of the purples you have in your collection will probably coordinate with this paper very well. Or you could switch over and you could stamp with the Mossy Meadow, which I've been using. So your choice. So I'm using purple because I'm going to be stamping this flower to use as our element, right? Our embellishment, stamped embellishment, and I've always seen these in purple. I know they're in other colors too, but I've always seen them in purple. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to create a tag. Again, I've cut a circle from the basic white with my Stylish Shapes dies, so you can either use the new dies that I'm using or you can use your retired circle dies or circle punches. I'm going to be stamping this with Happy Easter. Again, I'm using the Celebrating You sentiment stamp set. So I thought these colors and this flower was a good one for Easter time. So I'm going to get this one for Easter. So I'm just going to stamp this in the center of my circle. Okay, so there's my sentiment. And then while I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my blooms as well. Now I'm only going to be using the blooms. If you want to use the whole flower, you may want to color yours with markers to do the two colors, or like on some of the other cards I've shown, stamp it first in green, then clean it off, and then stamp it in the purple, and then cut the two parts apart and put them back together like puzzle pieces, so that you can have two-tone blooms. But I'm only looking for the bloom for my design, so I'm just going to stamp the bloom a couple of times, and then yes, I'm going to tell you to get out your paper snips and do some fussy cutting. So take your time, right? Use those scissors, just go right around the bloom. So I'm just going to give you a quick tutorial on one. So I'm just going to come in. I'm not worried about the stem at all, so I'm not worried about that. I'm getting right up close to the bloom, and then just use your paper snips. I'm keeping my paper snips pointing mostly towards my top of my table, and I'm rotating the cardstock underneath. Okay, I'm rotating that cardstock kind of like a steering wheel. So I'm just letting my scissors do the trimming, but my other hand is actually maneuvering the image around the blade. Does that make sense? So if you really look at what I'm doing, my scissors are kind of staying in one position, but my image is rotating. So I can get nice, clean, up close trimming on my flower image. So take your time, do some trimming out, and you'll end up with some great blooms as well. Okay, so I've done that ahead of time to save us some time in the video. So I've got 3 blooms. Okay, 3 blooms. So now here we go. We're going to lay this card out. So I've got my card base. I'm just going to fold that in half. Now, this is the same paper. I'm using the 2 sides. Sometimes it works out that way, sometimes it doesn't, but that's okay. We're going to build kind of like striped pattern here. I'm using the 2 purple ones. It's okay. 2 purple ones like this, and then I'm going to put the green one in the middle. Now you'll see from your tutorial, the green one in the middle is slightly skinnier than the 2 purple ones. So the measurements are there. Don't worry about figuring that out on your own. Alright, so it's just so there's a little bit of gap between them. Now I want to pop this middle one up on dimensionals just to give it a little more excitement in the design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere that center panel just to a piece of basic white, just so it's a little sturdier when I'm working with dimensionals. So that's kind of an easy trick to do. If you want to put DSP up on dimensionals and it looks a little flimsy, then just back it on a piece of cardstock. So I just used my liquid adhesive. I can kind of wiggle that around so I can get that on there where I want it. And it's white on white, right? My white background on a white thing. So if it's a little bit of an edge, it's not going to matter too much. If you really don't like it, you just take it back to your paper trimmer and trim it off. Okay, so now these guys, the top two panels, top panel and the bottom panel, I should say, are just going straight down with liquid adhesive. Okay, so I'm going to put this one on the bottom, and I'm just coming in equal amounts on the sides and the bottom for my spacing. Okay, so if you look at side to side and then you come up that same space, you'll be good on your spacing. So it's about 1/8 of an inch. And then I put this on the top, and again, kind of looking at my two sides and then bringing it down my card for spacing. Okay, now the center one I am going to put up on dimensionals, and I'm going to just use my edge to put this on, just like that. That didn't actually come off. Alright, so nice and balanced going across, and then this one is just going right here in the center of those two. So it just has a little bit of height to it, gives it a little bit of shadowing, right? So it's kind of a nice, easy embellishment to add without too much trouble. Okay, so now I've got my sentiment, and I'm going to put that right across there. So it kind of breaks up that green, and then I've got my 3 flowers here, right? So I'm just going to make a trio of flowers around the edge of my circle, just like that. So these guys are going to go on dimensionals. This one's going to get adhered straight down because that green panel's already popped up. So I don't want to add another dimensional there. So I'm just going to place my sentiment here, kind of in the middle of that green field. And then I'm going to use my mini dimensionals because these are kind of small. Let me see. Top of the flower, top of the flower, top of the flower. So I'm going to add these dimensionals to the bottoms of my flowers. Yeah. Let's see. Like that. And like that. And then I'm just going to use these to create kind of a half wreath underneath. Now you could make these flower images, right? You've got 3 different images in your stamp set. So you could do the roses, you could do the crocuses like or you could do these guys. Just trim them out, and then you could create a wreath of flowers, right, as an element to a card. So he's going to go right there. This one's going to go kind of over here. Now you can overlap them, right? You've kind of got these nice curvy edges if you want to. You can overlap them if you want. There. Okay. So there's my 3 flowers on my 3 stripes, right, with some dimensionals, right? You could use any sentiment. It doesn't have to be Happy Easter. I just happen to use Happy Easter. And then for my envelope, I'm just going to open up my ink pad again, and I only want to get the bloom, but I'm just going to use the one color, so I'm inking that up. So let's see, this is the top of my envelope, so I'm just going to come down kind of upside down and stamp that in the corner. So my flower is just kind of peeking along the edge there for my project. So what do you think, guys? It's a nice easy one to do. Again, you could use any of the flower stamps to do this with, and you could use any of the DSP to cut your strips and lay them out. So different colors, different flowers. You have lots of options to create this card project. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you find it not too difficult, and I hope you're doing some fun stamping. Hope you're enjoying all the projects we've shared so far. We've got more to go, and I will see you again next week. All right, guys. Bye-bye.